Hey, what's going on? Hopefully everything's working okay. Using a different setup today. We're trying to do some screen recording. Got Keenan Allen rookie highlights in the background because I was thinking about comparing Keenan Allen to Lad Mcconkey, but yeah, you can't really do that because Keenan Allen was absolutely cooking as a rookie wide receiver. So we don't want to do that to Mr. McConkey, but I took a look at the teams they played on. Keenan played on a pretty academically inclined football team, while Lad played on a championship football team. So can't really compare the college careers as far as I'm concerned. When they came out, the prospect grades were pretty similar. They give Lad an 80 compared to Keenan, they gave a 72 because Lad has this off the charts or really good, I should say, athleticism score, and Keenan Allen had a really bad athleticism score. If the guy had any athleticism coming out whatsoever, he would have probably been taken in the first round, like maybe the first or second wide receiver taken. So let's get down to BSness here. So one thing about Lad Mcconkey that I liked, when you look at his, let me stop this. When you take a quick look at his strengths and weaknesses, sources tell us Lad, really smart. You can tell he watches a ton of tape with how good he is at picking up on how to attack guys he's facing. NFL scouting director. So you love to hear that. So you know that the guy's going to be putting in that work, and he's already put in the route running work. So all he has to do is put in the time to basically, how do I beat this guy in front of me? What are his tendencies? What are his strengths and weaknesses? That's going to make things a lot easier for him as a rookie wide receiver. Now, they did say one of his biggest weaknesses is modest play strength. That could create issues in beating press. He had some ankle and back injuries, had an alarming number of deep ball tracking drops in 2022, which was the year before. So they didn't say anything about 2023. And they say that he has average acceleration driving through seam routes. Or through route seam, excuse me. Well, I'll tell you what. A couple of these things should be helped, and I'll get to that later, with the team that he went to. When I look at the tape on him, he seems to accelerate pretty doggone fast, so I'm not sure what I'm missing there. As far as the strengths are concerned, it says it's difficult to keep him from uncovering due to the route running ability, which is something the Chargers need. Rhythmic route running, consistently manipulate corners into relinquishing their leverage. Now, that is one of the biggest things that I see, because that shows you that he's always thinking and he's tricky, he's clever. That's the type of guy that you want playing wide receiver, that will play wide receiver for a long time. Says he has enough vertical speed to keep the coverage honest. Natural hands catcher who typically plucks it away from his body, and he's a slippery punt. We don't want to see him running. I don't want to see him returning punts, so I don't even want to know about that. Okay. So he's pretty athletic and he puts in the work. At Georgia, he had Brock Bowers in his way, great tight end that went to the Raiders, unfortunately, my local team. Unfortunately, again, everywhere I go, the Raiders come right after me. Moved to the Bay Area, the Raiders moved to the Bay Area, moved back down south here to Nevada, here come the Raiders. Should have moved to Guam or something like that. And then moved back. Okay, so now I think that if he's a dependable receiver, he'll be one of Justin's first looks when he's out there passing, because if he's reliable and he's always getting wide open, he's going to be a primary target for Justin Herbert, no matter who else is out there. He's got that speed that they talked about a little bit. Now, he's got the speed to actually get behind the defense and take it to the house. If you single cover him, he's going to cook a few of these cornerbacks out there, and he's going to get wide open. And he's going to have nothing but green grass in front of him. So that's something that I look forward to seeing happen. I don't know if it will, but that's what I'm looking forward to. I know that the defenses they're playing is that Vic Fangio / Brandon Staley defense. So it's going to be hard to get open deep, but that's where the rushing attack and the offensive line come in. So the offensive line is definitely going to help him out. Like Coach Harbaugh said, the offensive line helps out the entire team. So if they're going to give Justin time to throw, and Lad's as a precise route runner as they say he is, he should be catching passes in stride on a regular basis. And if that happens, and he happens to get a step or get behind some of these defenses, he is going to take some of these to the house. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm expecting. Now, he's not going to be cooking these NFL defensive backs the way he was cooking them in college, but somebody's going to get cooked. So I have to say, what do the Chargers need him to do? Well, one is they need him to run the right routes, and not just the right routes, but they also need him going to the right spot. And supposedly that's a big strength of his. Even the Chargers coaches called that out in press conferences. They said that if the guy, and I think this was Sanjay Lal that said this, if he needs 13 yards, that's exactly where Lad's going to go, 13 yards. If he needs 14. How often in the past with the Chargers have we seen where these guys have run a route, but it's 2 yards too short of the first down marker? We're scratching our heads and wondering why they did that. That's not what we get from Keenan Allen. That's not what we get from Mike Williams. So if we don't have those two guys, it's good to have a guy in there that's going to run the routes and go to the spot he needs to go to. And with the competitiveness that Jim Harbaugh's adding to the team, if Lad's doing it, you can almost guarantee you that the other players are going to hear the coaches raving about it, and they're going to start doing it too. So that's another strength that he brings to the team, competitiveness. They need this guy to come in here and compete and have a positive attitude, which means compete when you're talking about the Chargers. And there's nothing that I've seen from this guy that makes me think there's going to be anything different from him. Now, they definitely want to have this guy catch balls on the short to intermediate routes. Yes, they have other receivers that can do that long stuff. I mean, Brendan Rice, I'm not sure if he's going to make the team. He's a draft pick besides Joe Alt. He's my second most favorite draft pick, Brendan Rice, just because, it's not logical. It's just, that's the guy that I wanted the Chargers to draft. So they draft him, and the guy has elite top speed, 23 miles per hour plus when he gets to top speed. So he's the type of guy that can take it deep. DJ Chark, I'm sure, can take it deep. And, if Lad can add to that, if he can also do it, I mean, they've got some quick and fast guys out there that can take it to the house. And it's something that I'm looking forward to seeing from this guy. And of course, being a hardball team, he's going to need to be able to run block. So hopefully he's able to do that. And I said I'd come back to this later, but what can the team do for Lad? So from what I see here, obviously, they haven't gotten on the field yet to know whether or not we're going to have a solid rushing attack like we've been promised for years, but it seems like they've done what they need to do to make that happen. So taking a look at the tight ends they brought in, the offensive philosophy, the offensive line additions, they should have a very solid running game, if not an elite running game in this league. And that should take some of the focus off of the wide receivers and off of Justin Herbert, unlike previous years. So, Keenan Allen, not only Justin Herbert, but also Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, they had a ton of pressure on them, and they were just so much better than who they were facing, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, with Justin throwing them the ball. There's really nothing you can do to lock those guys down. Somebody's getting open. And they're not going to have that type of elite, over-the-top, overpowered wide receiving core that they've had in the past, even though they were injured a lot. When they were on the field, that's an overpowered wide receiving core. They don't have that anymore. They just need these guys to be solid with the amount of time that the offensive line and also the offensive philosophy and also the running game should be given Justin Herbert. So these wide receivers are going to be in just the same enviable position as Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, without having the same amount of talent. And, Lad Mcconkey seems a little bit too good to be true as far as like what he can do well. If he lives up to what he can do well, if he lives up to the hype, this is going to be one heck of an elite wide receiver right away. I don't expect that to happen maybe season 2 or season 3. He should be like, I'm expecting him to be a fantastic wide receiver, but he might come into the league that way with the situation he's been put in. We don't know if that's facts or not. It's just, it could happen. And one thing that I want to make sure that I mention is Josh Palmer is a solid wide receiver who has a chance to take the next step for the same reasons that Lad Mcconkey has a chance to take the next steps, because with Brandon Staley's insistence on putting everything on Justin Herbert, that also means that all the pressure was put on Joshua Palmer. And I guess Palmer, he did a pretty good job. Let me see if I can pull up his stats real quick. Joshua Palmer. Okay. Let's see if we can get his stats off of Pro Football Reference. Make this bigger. Now, one thing that I did find alarming last year was his success rate, which had dipped to 47.5. I don't expect it to stay that low because he was up here at 55.1 before. If you take a quick look, let me see if I can open up a new window, pull up Keenan. Oh my God, I keep misspelling Keenan. See, if you take a look at Keenan Allen, he was a bit better. He was 58.7, 56.2. And then Mike Williams. Let's see if we can figure out which Mike Williams. There's so many of them. Mike Williams was 53.8. So I mean, he's comparable to a Mike Williams, a Keenan Allen as far as his success rate usually. Let's see. What's one of the better receivers? Who's that guy from the Raiders? He's no, what's his name? I can't believe I forgot the Raiders wide receiver's name. Well, I can't remember his name, so pull up one of my favorite players, Jamar Chase. I see how Jamar Chase, how successful he is. Yeah, he's right in there, 56.6, 55.2. So if you take a look at Joshua Palmer now, just throwing out last season, because that was a disaster, he's 55.1 success rate. And I would expect him to stay around that or even take a step up from his success rate. And then let me see, it says receiving success rate. A successful reception gains at least 40% of the yards required on first down, 60% of the yards required on second down, and 100% on third or fourth down. The denominator is targets. So we know that he played a lot of the season with Easton Stick, and Easton Stick isn't Justin Herbert. So I would assume that his success rate is going to go way, way up. So, you got him. And since we're looking at it, we might as well look at everyone, right? So DJ Chark, what is his success rate receiving? Success rate's never been all that good. He was only over 50% when he played with Jared Goff in Detroit. Otherwise, he's been in the 40s. So we'll have to see. That reminds me. So we're going to go back to Tyron Johnson then, a guy that was pretty damn good, or solid at least. He wasn't that good under Justin Herbert. And let's see what his success rate was with Justin Herbert. So his success rate with Justin Herbert was 61.5%. And after Justin Herbert, 40-40, 100% with one reception in 2022. But other than that, he dropped from 61.5% success rate all the way down to 40% without Justin Herbert. And if you take a look, Josh, let's go back to Josh Palmer. Oh, get out of here. So Josh Palmer, without Justin Herbert pretty much, he dropped from 55% down to 47.5. So Justin Herbert's making these guys better. Who's another receiver that left the Chargers? Jalen Guyton, not yet. Well, let's go tight end. What is good old Hunter Henry? What did he do with and without Justin Herbert? We'll see if he got better. We'll see. So his success rate, he's just a great tight end, man. So with Justin Herbert, he was only 51.6%. He went up to 62.7 when he went to New England in 2022-21. And then he dropped down to 50 and then back up to 63.9. So Hunter Henry has just been doing his thing. That's just what he does. And let's see. I'm trying to think of it was Jared. Dropped my mouse. Give me a second. Yeah, I can't remember the tight end's name. It's Jared something. But anyway, I can't really, enough about that. So basically, we're gonna see Joshua Palmer come out here, and I think he's gonna have a pretty solid, close to elite success rate. I do want to see some of these other pass rushers. Let's about Justin Jefferson. I mean, I think this is an interesting stat, this success rate. Justin Jefferson, rookie year. To me, Justin Jefferson is my guy. He's like the best one. And I actually try to get out and go to a Vikings game once a year. So I'll probably go to the 49ers game for the second straight year. First game that I saw the Chargers play since 1997 was against the Vikings, which they lost, which I was throwing a tantrum. Almost got into it with security. I was so pissed off about that, but whatever. So, but look at this guy. Like his success rate is 61.6 and dip down to 55.7, 57.6, 61. So this is like the best of the best. Jamar Chase is under that, obviously. CeeDee Lamb, let's take a look at him. Hopefully I'm not rambling too much for you guys as I look through this, but this is the type of stuff I like to look at. So success rate for CeeDee Lamb, it's been 55.1 or less, except for last year. It was a whopping 63.5, which is amazing. Tyreek Hill obviously is the guy that we all think is one of the best wide receivers in the league. I would hope. You're not over here saying that he's not. And we'll look at catch percentage some other time, but success rate, he's up there. He's over 55%. He's 57.9, 56.5. Last year in Kansas City, 61.6. So he was phenomenal in his last season with Kansas City, and he's been fantastic. So if you take a look, like these guys, now this success rate isn't as important because if the quarterback doesn't throw you the ball, the success rate doesn't really even matter whatsoever based on what I read there, because it doesn't take into account targets. The denominator is receptions, not targets. So I'm basically what I'm telling you. I'm not saying this guy's going to go out there and be Justin Jefferson with the amount of routes that he runs or the amount of attention he's going to get from Justin Herbert. But what I'm saying is that he definitely is a reliable target if Justin Herbert's throwing him the ball. So anyway, I kind of went on a long tangent there. Back to Ladd Mcconkey. What can the team do for Ladd? So I had just to recap. So I said the solid running game is going to force some focus off the wide receivers, unlike previous years. So Ladd basically doesn't have to be Keenan Allen out there just cooking defenders. He just has to do what Ladd does, and he should have a solid season. Joshua Palmer is there with him. He's a solid wide receiver. Defenses are basically going to be foolish to overlook Joshua Palmer. And I think that either DJ Chark or QJ, Quentin Johnston, either one of those dudes could have a solid season, or maybe both of them could have a solid season. I think that they're going to be coached up, and I think that they're going to be helped out by the system they're going to. Run heavy. We should have a successful rushing attack. Should help those guys out. Now back to Ladd. So he's got the best trainer in the business in Ben Herbert. And they're bringing world-class food to their world-class training facility. And they're going to be doing world-class workouts to strengthen their joints, make them harder to break. I think that that's going to be huge for a guy like Ladd Mcconkey, because he clearly didn't get that in Georgia with all those nicks that he got. I'm sure they did a good job training, but they didn't do good enough to keep him from getting injured. And I think also the head coaching decisions should not put the team in harm's way like they always did under Brandon Staley. I mean, you're going to go forward on 4th and 2 in your own territory with no threat of the rushing attack. That's just a foolish decision, because at some point teams are going to figure out what you're going to do, and you basically have cut off half of your options because you can't run the ball. And that's basically it, guys. So hopefully I didn't ramble too long there at the end.